take a group, large, collective, deep and long breath in through the nose. Hold it. And out through the mouth. Many of us know that tomatoes are a fruit. We have that knowledge. But wisdom is knowing not to put the tomato in a fruit salad. Knowledge is power, but wisdom is understanding. Many of you may have heard lately in the news, there's a story about an airline that has had an uproar socially because they did not allow some girls on the plane who were wearing leggings, saying it was against the dress code. Someone overheard this and thought it was sexist and terrible that they would do this, tweeted about it immediately, and instantly this airline was very deprecated. What that person didn't know was these two girls were using guest passes, possibly from a relative, so they were flying for free, and as such were considered representatives of the airline, and they had a different dress code than the average person. Someone standing nearby, a mother, had her children put on like a dress over their leggings because she thought this applied to everyone. The person who tweeted about it and this mother didn't have all the information. My mother, who was a teacher, one of her principals said to her, "Believe nothing of what you hear and only half of what you see." This person tweeting did not have all the information. Had she had it, knowledge is power, she may have made a better decision. She might have had what she thought was knowledge, but lacking wisdom. Back in high school, middle of the week, around 4:30 p.m., I come bouncing down the hall towards cheerleading practice. I had theater practice, which went till 5, and cheerleading practice started at 4. Since I tried to act like I had multiple clones of myself to do all my activities, I had to leave one half an hour early and be half an hour late to the next one, since they had an hour overlap. So imagine you're going to the gym, you hear the squeaking of rubber on the wooden floor, you smell the mats and a bit of sweat, plus some vanilla body spray, as these are high school girls. And I go in, and instead of seeing the team warmed up and doing their stunts, they're all sitting on a mat in a circle. Now, what happened after was going to surprise me, because the coach was kind of friendly with my mother. My mother gave her advice as a future teacher, and I had even taken college classes with her because we could take college classes in high school. So I was very surprised to see they were having a team meeting without the whole team there, and it turned out it was about me. This is a pretty unconventional way to go about things, but it was basically a Attack Larysa session. They all decided to voice their opinions about how I wasn't a team player because I wasn't getting there. Now, I thought the coach knew that I wasn't just waltzing in when I felt like it, but I was coming from another legitimate activity. The other teammates were criticizing the lack of being there and what that meant to them and how I wasn't able to really make the team cohesive, etc. That was just about the tipping point for me. As much as I like to pretend I don't cry and sometimes just might leak a bit, this wasn't the just leaking a bit from the eyes. This was the full out, barely can breathe, gasping for air, ugly cry. As I told them that about 5 days before, my parents had just gotten divorced. Instantly, the mood of the room changed. The same ones who had just criticized me and told me how I wasn't a team player and wasn't doing a great job came up to me and said they couldn't believe that since that had happened on a Friday and that game next day on the Saturday, I was there, I was smiling, I was doing my job, even in spite of all that, and how when her parents had gotten divorced, she had been a complete wreck. She couldn't believe I was even holding it together. So they, too, didn't have all the knowledge to make a full decision. Often it is said we're given 2 ears and 1 mouth, use them accordingly and proportionally. Listen and seek to understand before making judgment and deciding about someone. I recently heard a story about Stephen Covey, the great author. He was on a subway and he was trying to read a book, and this father and 2 kids come in, and they're kind of loud and kind of bouncing off the wall, and he's getting kind of annoyed because he's like, why can't this father keep these kids under control? Like, what's going on? So at some point they make an exchange, and the father apologizes to Stephen, saying, you know, I'm so sorry the kids are acting like this. You know, we just got out of the hospital and their mother just died, and you know, so obviously the father is not thinking about the kids behaving, and the kids don't know what to do with that. So I had a professor once that said, if we imagine that everyone in the world is doing the best that they can at every moment, the world becomes a different place. She knew about a child who was acting up and acting out. He was one of a very large family, and he was doing that because that's the only way he could get attention. I've tried this myself. If we, instead of looking at people as though they have every ability that we have and how we would handle the situation differently, they're coming at the world from a different set of skills. And they probably are doing the best that they can do under their circumstances. And when you start to see the world that way, it becomes a very different place. So can we take another deep breath in and out? Madame Toastmasters.